So the bone cell is connected to the stem cell, which is connected to the nerve cell, which is connected to the skin cell. I'm lost. Oh, wait, I'm back. This is Mr. Norris here. We're back with Norris Teaches Science, and today in this biology edition of the video, we're going to talk about special cells. And so, your objective by the end of this video, I can understand the use of stem cells and how different cells have different responsibilities. So let's talk about some of the different cells in the body or in an organism. So we're first going to talk about me getting the laser pointer. All right. So now we're going to talk about nerve cells. Nerve cells or neurons. Some people call them neurons. They're nerve cells, same term. Its job about communication. So communication between different cells or between different parts of the body. It's about coordination, something I don't have. I mean, I can trip over thin air here. I've done it. Trust me. I've fallen in my own apartment over nothing. It's also about response to a stimulus. Say you place your hand on a hot stove, the nerve cells are going to tell you to take your hand off. You can kind of see a picture over here. It says the structure of a typical neuron. You got your dendrites and all your other stuff about it. But this is kind of what a nerve cell looks like. You've seen not all cells look the same. Let me just be very clear. Their shape is for their functions. All right. Blood cells. Blood cells move material through the body. They kind of look like donuts. Um, they regulate your pH and and do osmosis. So it's really there for some homeostasis since it's got to keep it balanced. And there's two type of blood cells that we're going to talk about. We got the red blood cells, which are for moving oxygen, and you have your white blood cells, which is all about immunity. And I'm currently making this video about during the pandemic times when I'm supposed to be remote teaching, and I am remote teaching, but my students are supposed to be doing work right now, so I'm recording a video. Immunity is very important, and we're trying to figure out a vaccine so people become immune to the coronavirus or COVID-19, as it should be called. All right, next cells. You got your muscle cells. They're there for mobility and stability. And you can see muscle cells, even as themselves, look different depending on where they're at. Skeletal muscle cells versus smooth muscle cells versus cardiac muscle cells like heart muscle cells. Think about muscle cells that contain a lot of mitochondria because you have to use your muscles to move and you need a lot of energy to move. And mitochondria make energy. Refer back to cellular respiration. I have a whole video on it. Skin cells, they're like a protective layer. They're also there to help maintain homeostasis in the body. And then your bone cells, they're there to make up your bones or your skeletal structure. And then remember, so your bone cells are wrapped around, have muscle cells wrapped around them, and they all work together to make your body function. Some other special cells in your body, you have just depends. If you males have sperm cells, their job is to pass on genetic material. Um, in ovum or egg cells, this is only for those females. Its job is to pass on genetic material too. These two will combine through a process called fertilization, and that creates a zygote that then creates the embryo that then becomes the newborn baby that then parents have to, take care of for 18 years. At one point, they're in high school and they'll be learning about this right now. All right. So the last type of special cell I want to talk about is something called a stem cell. And I kind of mentioned it in the preview for the video. Stem cells are something called undifferentiated cells. What that means is they have not become one of the other special types of cells. They are special cells because all cells were once stem cells. When genes are activated inside the stem cell, when genes are activated, they can become other cells. There's other um, uses of stem cells. And we can see that in medical now. If you just Google stem cells, you probably can see how stem cells are being used in stem cell therapies so that it can help cure some diseases. But the genes have to activate in a stem cell before it becomes something else. Stem cells can become other stem cells through cellular division, which we'll have a whole another video stuff on about cellular division. So where are stem cells found? Well, it just depends. Are we talking about embryos or are we talking about adults? Embryonic stem cells are found in the embryos, the developing babies, and adults have stem cells in their bone marrow. Embryonic stem cells actually have more capabilities than adult stem cells because as an adult, there's things have just solidified. So embryonic ones haven't. They are still trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. So they can become or help more things as embryonic stem cells. How you get each cell is kind of interesting. For embryonic stem cells, they will combine a um, sperm and egg in a like a little test tube situation. Let it start developing into an embryo, and then they'll harvest all the stem cells out of it, which really just means they're destroying the embryo at the same time. Adult stem cells to get bone marrow, uh, you have to stick a big giant needle inside of a bone and get it out. I hear it hurts a lot. I don't like needles, so I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But the ethics in stem cells, I kind of mentioned it. To obtain embryonic stem cells, you have to harvest it from a fetus. And when this happens, the fetus is destroyed in the process. And there's been big debates in scientific communities and society about when someone's alive, um, or when someone's alive. And so stem cells have a lot of negative connotation to them. In that sense, they do help with stuff, but there's still the ethical issue of should we destroy a fetus which could be living um, just to help someone else. So there's still ethics there. I kind of touched a little bit about um, stem cells. I touched a little bit about all the special cells, but there's so much more out there that you need to start taking advantage of your internet searches. Unlike when I was in school, it was called a library and you read books and we had dial up, had that weird sound. Um, Go use your internet, use the internet, learn more about this stuff, become more educated. But I hope today you learned something. And this is Mr. Norris, and he is signing out of this video.